Watch my first guest program every day. Please welcome the host of the Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak.
Minutes ago, Pat Sajak's daughter revealed a stunning truth about her father that we've all been pondering. As Pat gears up for a tranquil retirement, speculation is rife about who will take over his spot on Wheel of Fortune. His legendary appeal has not only cemented his status as a household name, but also earned him 19 Daytime Emmy nods and a Guinness World Record. What hidden stories might he be concealing? Tune in deeper into the mysteries surrounding Pat Sajak's refined persona, Pat Sajak's legacy on Wheel of Fortune. As Pat Sajak looks forward to retirement, dreaming of relaxing days on the beach with a margarita, people continue to talk about his departure from the show and who might take over. But let's not forget how much he's contributed to Wheel of Fortune over the years. He's been nominated for 19 Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Game Show Host, which shows just how much of an impact he's had on the show and how lasting his legacy will be. Yet amid the waves of accolades and nostalgia, an envelope quietly surfaces, containing a secret that could dramatically alter the legacy of America's beloved game show forever. In 2019, his long career was recognized by Guinness World Records, marking him as one of the few TV hosts to last so long in an industry that's constantly changing. His steady presence on the show is a testament to his skill and charm, keeping viewers entertained year after year. But this wasn't the only impressive part of his life. Born in Chicago on October 26, 1946, he graduated from Farragut High School in 1964 and later attended Columbia College Chicago while working at the Palmer House Hilton. His last name wasn't always Sajak, it was originally Sajdak, but he changed it to make it sound more American when he started working in TV. Growing up, he lived in a Polish-American family on Chicago's West Side. He didn't have a close relationship with his father, Leonard Sajak, or his grandparents. After his parents divorced, his mother remarried in 1956, and his father passed away in 1961. After that, he lost touch with his father's side of the family. From a young age, he was fascinated by broadcasting. He would sneak out of bed not to cause trouble, but to watch Jack Paar on The Tonight Show. In a 2012 interview, he shared that these late-night viewings sparked his interest in a career in broadcasting. His big break came when he won a contest on the Dick Biondi Show on WLS Radio, which led to his first job as a teen DJ. While attending Columbia College, his broadcasting teacher told him about a job at a local station, WEDC. He landed a role as a newsman working the late-night shift, but that was just the beginning. However, this wasn't the only turning point in his career. In 1968, he joined the United States Army and was sent to Vietnam. There, he worked as a disc jockey on Armed Forces Radio. One memorable, though unfortunate, moment came when he accidentally cut off President Richard Nixon's Christmas broadcast to the troops in 1969. Instead of fixing it, he decided to leave it as is, a story he later laughed about in interviews. After returning to the U.S. in the early 70s, he continued his radio career, working at WNBS in Kentucky before moving to WSM in Nashville. His charm and natural talent made him a popular personality, which set the stage for his eventual success on television. But even with all these accomplishments, this was just one chapter of his long and successful career. He quickly became a fan favorite. The TV station connected to the radio station where he was already popular, WSM-TV, now called WSMV, noticed his talent and brought him on screen. At first, he was the voice for station announcements and gave quick news updates during NBC's Today Show. Eventually, he became the weekend and backup weatherman, where he developed a strong connection with anchor Dan Miller. In 1977, KNBC-TV in Los Angeles was looking for a weather reporter and spotted his talent in Nashville. They offered him a full-time position, which he accepted, starting his successful TV career. This opportunity came at the perfect time, as a contract issue at his old job made it easier for him to move on to bigger things. And this was just the beginning of his journey. The early success of Wheel of Fortune was just the beginning. A game show legend's rise. By the early 1980s, Wheel of Fortune was already doing well on daytime TV. The original host, Chuck Woolery, had been with the show since it first aired in January 1975. He wanted to renew his contract but asked for a significant salary increase to $500,000, believing he deserved it compared to other TV hosts at the time. In a 2007 interview, Woolery explained that Merv Griffin, the show's creator and a smart businessman, wasn't willing to meet that demand. Griffin offered $400,000 instead. NBC tried to help by suggesting other ways to make up the difference, but Griffin threatened to take the show to CBS. In the end, NBC pulled its offer, and Woolery left the show. A new host was needed, and that's where things got interesting. While searching for a new host, Griffin noticed his playful and funny personality on air. One memorable moment was when he delivered the weather report with a bandage over one eye, then switched it to the other eye after a commercial break without saying a word. Griffin saw something in him that others didn't, but not everything was smooth sailing. Even though Griffin believed he was the right fit, NBC President Fred Silverman and other executives weren't convinced. They thought he wasn't famous enough and encouraged Griffin to keep looking. Griffin, however, wasn't budging. He threatened to stop the show until he was approved. The standoff ended when Silverman was replaced by Brandon Tartikoff, who had different ideas, and he, who had hosted a couple of game show pilots in 1980, accepted the job. His first appearance as the host of Wheel of Fortune was on December 28, 1981. The evening version of the show, which is still on the air today, started in 1983, and Vanna White joined him as co-host. Griffin's choice of him turned out to be a brilliant one. Even though there were doubts from NBC executives, he not only met expectations, but went far beyond them, benefiting both himself and the show. Over time, he became the face of Wheel of Fortune. He won 3 Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Game Show Host and received a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2011. In 1994, he was also given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But this wasn't even the biggest recognition he would receive. In 2019, Guinness World Records awarded Sajak for having the longest run as a game show host for the same show, a record that even beat legends like Alex Trebek of Jeopardy and Bob Barker of The Price is Right. That year, he and White celebrated their 7,000th episode together, and the number has only kept growing. His time on Wheel of Fortune was so special that it even became a family affair. His daughter Maggie stepped in as the show's social correspondent, but he wasn't just about game shows. In 1982, he took a small acting role as a newscaster from Buffalo, New York, in the comedy Airplane 2: The Sequel. He also tried his hand at hosting a late-night talk show on CBS in January 1989, which led him to leave his hosting duties on the daytime version of Wheel of Fortune. He was replaced by Rolf Benirschke, a former NFL player, but Rolf's time on the show was short. Bob Goen took over when the show moved to CBS later that same year. In the mid-1980s, he appeared on several game shows like Super Password and even earlier on Password Plus in 1981, right before becoming the Wheel host. His charm made him a great guest on other game shows too, such as Dream House, Just Men, and Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour. However, his late-night talk show on CBS didn't last long. It started in January 1989, but ended by April 1990. During that time, his co-host was Dan Miller, a longtime friend and former news anchor from Nashville. The early success of Wheel of Fortune was just the beginning. The Strange Life of a Game Show icon, he often stepped in for big names like Larry King on CNN's Larry King Live, and even filled in for Regis Philbin on Live with Regis and Kelly. In 2003, he hosted Pat Sajak Weekend on Fox News. From the early 2000s until 2006, he also hosted the Pat Sajak Baseball Hour, a weekly sports talk radio show. However, he had to stop because it clashed with his busy schedule. Beyond television, he took on other roles too. He served as an external director at Eagle Publishing, a conservative company, and was a board member at the Claremont Institute. In the early 1980s, he showed off his acting skills on the soap opera Days of Our Lives as Kevin Hathaway. He also made a fun cameo on the children's show Rugrats in 1994. But that's not all. In 1997, he pulled off a memorable April Fool's prank. He and Vanna White were the contestants on Wheel of Fortune, while Alex Trebek hosted. The money they won was donated to the American Cancer Society and the Boy Scouts of America. He also returned the favor by hosting an episode of Jeopardy for Trebek. He appeared again in 2010 for another April Fool's special alongside Jeff Probst and Neil Patrick Harris. In 2001, he made a guest appearance on The King of Queens as himself. In 2010, he began writing for National Review Online, sparking debate on whether public employees should vote on issues that could benefit them directly. He also wrote for Ricochet, a center-right political website. In 2007, he teamed up with puzzle maker David L. Hoyt to create a puzzle game called Lucky Letters, which was distributed by Universal Uclick. But it didn't stop there. By 2019, he became the chair of the Board of Trustees at Hillsdale College, a private Christian school, after serving as vice chair for 15 years. He also made appearances on ESPN Radio's The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz and Highly Questionable. Since 2020, he's worked as a consulting producer for Wheel of Fortune, starting with its 39th season. In 2021, he and Vanna White began hosting Primetime Celebrity Wheel of Fortune on ABC. That same year, they renewed their contracts to continue hosting through the 2023-2024 season. He even lent his voice to a singing bust in a Muppet special and narrated Disney's Candlelight Processional multiple times. But his biggest announcement came in June 2023. He shared that he would be retiring from Wheel of Fortune after the show's 41st season in 2024. This marked the end of an incredible chapter in his career. Before his retirement announcement, there were signs that he was growing a bit tired. During one episode, his frustration showed when he questioned a contestant's repeated mistakes, asking why she was even playing in the first place. The episode started with a round of quick questions where a contestant named Debbie got all three wrong. She confidently answered taking a nap, but the host quickly told her she was wrong. Not long after, another contestant correctly guessed hailing a cab. Debbie tried again, this time with her granddaughter, but she guessed catching a fish, and that was wrong too. In the last round of quick questions, Debbie and her granddaughter gave it another shot but missed again. Clearly frustrated, he asked Debbie why she kept guessing, and then told the other contestants to jump in. In another episode, he scolded a popular contestant, telling them to never do that again after they grabbed a prize envelope too soon. He got more criticism when a contestant named Cesar Redia couldn't solve a hard bonus round puzzle. That was a pivotal factor. Viewers argued that the phrase was too tricky and not something most people would know. Behind the bright lights, tensions and odd moments began to show. A farewell to television's beloved host. His behavior has been a bit odd at times on the show. He's done things like pretending to put a contestant in a chokehold, joking about hiding in the bushes at his co-host Vanna White's house, asking a contestant to take off his shirt, and even pulling on someone's beard. Despite all this, he's famous for his witty and sharp comments during the game. His retirement announcement drew a lot of attention. His last episode as the host on Friday, June 7th, had the highest number of viewers since April 2020, with around 11 million people watching. That episode, which featured a personal message from him, got the top rating of the week with a 6.2 household rating. All 5 of his final episodes were also among the top 15 most watched shows that week. But this wasn't the most surprising part. Even reruns of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune had more viewers, with over 4 million people tuning in that Friday. It became the highest watched non-sport show in 4 years. During his goodbye speech, he shared his gratitude for the years he spent on the show. He talked about how the show helped kids learn to read and how adults improved their English. He also said it was special because it brought families together and became a loved part of family time. In his final moments on the show, he made sure to give a special shout out to his co-host, Vanna White. He called her a key part of the show's success, praising her for being professional and down to earth. He also said how lucky he felt to have worked with someone so kind, which made his farewell even more heartfelt. His words left viewers with a sense of respect and appreciation for both him and Vanna, marking the end of an era for the show. Vanna White expressed her deep gratitude for the touching message she received during the last episode. Her heartfelt tribute to Pat Sajak on his second-to-last show on June 6th highlighted their long friendship and years of working together. Vanna thanked him for always supporting her and giving her the confidence she needed when she first joined the show. Over the years, they both grew together on TV, sharing many big moments and personal memories, even beyond the cameras with their families. These moments meant a lot to Vanna and led to more talks about who would take over for him. As the years went on, he really enjoyed working with his daughter, Maggie Sajak, who took on the role of the show's social media correspondent. He loved seeing her grow in both her job and her personal life. He mentioned how much people at work appreciated Maggie, not just for her talent and sense of humor, but for how kind, humble, and thoughtful she is. During a special conversation with Maggie, he talked about how he was getting used to the idea of retiring. While he felt a little nostalgic, he also enjoyed looking back at all he had accomplished. When he praised Maggie for how well she handled her role, many began to wonder if she might naturally step into his shoes as the next host of Wheel of Fortune. Although it sounded like a nice idea, there were other names being considered for the job. But that wasn't the biggest challenge they faced. On November 8, 2019, he had a health scare that led to an emergency surgery. During his absence, Vanna White took over hosting duties, with Maggie stepping in to help turn the letters. Vanna reflected on her long career with the show, comparing her many different dresses to the ever-changing puzzles on the board, saying each episode felt new and exciting. If Vanna stays in her role, she and Maggie could make a great team. At 28, Maggie already has a strong working relationship with Vanna, who has complemented Maggie's on-screen presence. The search for a new host brings excitement and reflection. A new host takes the wheel. When he announced he was retiring after more than 40 years on the show, the search for his replacement kicked into high gear. While LeVar Burton had a tough time guest hosting Jeopardy! In July 2021, some believe he could still be a good fit for Wheel of Fortune. Another option is Tom Bergeron, who had a difficult exit from Dancing with the Stars but could be a strong contender if his relationship with ABC is still good. Snoop Dogg, who has charmed fans on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, could be an unexpected yet fun choice. Mark McGrath, known for his time on Extra and being a 3-time champion of Rock and Roll Jeopardy, was also mentioned as a possibility. Wayne Brady, with his game show experience and quick improv skills from Whose Line Is It Anyway?, might be able to bring a lot of energy and fun to the role. Jane Lynch, famous for her comedy and past hosting gig on The Weakest Link, is another candidate for the job. Even Craig Ferguson, who fans miss from late-night TV because of his humor and charm, could be a great match for the role. In the end, though, Ryan Seacrest was selected to replace him. Ryan, who was 7 years old when he began hosting, will take over after 41 seasons. Ryan Seacrest, who is used to being in the spotlight from hosting many shows and events, shared how excited he is to continue the legacy of Wheel of Fortune alongside Vanna White. He's been preparing by studying the game's rules and different situations to make sure he's ready for his new role. And while we talk about his career, it's also important to remember his life outside of TV, where he enjoys spending time with his wife, Leslie Brown Sajak, and their 2 children. What do you think has contributed more to his wealth, his career, or his investments? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.